Yeah, Digvijay, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Am I clearly visible?
Yes.
Fine. We'll start in a minute. Greetings, everyone. I'm P. Shravan Kumar, the founder and CEO of SK Associates and Group, and your host for today's session of the Conference 0.9 on emerging role of skill development and training programs in improving work efficiency. I would like to request all the speakers and attendees to kindly switch on your webcams and stay on video throughout the conference. Now, I would like to quickly introduce our guests for the third session of Conference 0.9. Firstly, I would like to introduce Professor Dr. G.S. Bajpai, who serves as the Vice Chancellor of Rajiv Gandhi National University of Rome, Punjab. He has served as Registrar, Professor of Criminology and Criminal Justice, Chair Professor at KL Arora Chair in Criminal Law, and also as the Chairperson at the Center for Criminology and Victimology at National Law University, Delhi. Before this, he was serving as a professor and chairperson at the Center for Criminal Justice Administration, National Law Institute University, Bhopal, MP. He is also the member and convener of the Committee for Reforms in Criminal Laws constituted by the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. He is the member of the Advisory Board for Development of Legal Education and Legal Profession of the Bar Council of India, BCI, member of the Standing Committee of the Legal Education Committee of the Bar Council of India, member, General Counsel, Damodar. Next, we have Muhammad Ismail Muhammad Azad, who is a mediation training officer at the Ministry of Justice, Government of Sri Lanka since 14 years. He is working with all types of communities and students on international disputes resolution standards with excellent skill training programs. He is a training officer for the Ministry of Justice for the districts of Ampara and Batipula in Sri Lanka. Mr. Azad bin Ismail is the in charge of 30 district officers and 30 mediators who are led by him constantly as an official for Mediation Boards Commission, Ministry of Justice, Sri Lanka. Next, we have Dr. Eakandu Natikim, who is the head of Department of Public Law and Vice Dean of the Faculty of Law, University of Uyo, Nigeria. She holds a doctorate in Labor and Social Securities laws, which constitute her core areas of research. She has worked as a professor of law at University of Uyo since 16 years and is quite passionate about teaching. Next, we have Mr. Brian Wong, who is a Rhodes Scholar 2020 from Hong Kong, DPhil in politics, pursuing his postgraduate studies at Balliol College, University of Oxford. He graduated with a distinction across all module and thesis in the MPhil in politics theory at Wolfson's College, University of Oxford. He graduated with a first class honors from Pembroke College, University of Oxford, with a BA in philosophy, politics and economics, having attended Oxford on a full scholarship under the Fox Scholars Association and as a Pembroke College Scholar. Having passed his DPhil confirmation of status, Brand has taught modules in politics to undergraduate students at Oxford and Stanford University, later on exchange programs, and is currently volunteering as a politics tutor at University of Oxford. Next, we have Dr. Muhammad Abdul Awal Khan, who has been contributing to legal education, research, and training since 2005. Currently, he has been serving as an associate professor of law at the Independent University, Bangladesh. He obtained his PhD at the College of Law, Western Sydney University, Australia in 2015. He served as a visiting researcher at the School of Global Studies, University of Gothenburg, Sweden, and Department of Social Sciences, University of Roehampton, London, UK, as an Erasmus Mundus visiting scholar in 2017. He published numerous research articles in national and international journals. His area of expertise includes environmental law, climate change law, and policy and human rights. Last but not the least, we have Mohammad Mahbubur Rahman, who is an advocate enrolled in the Bangladesh Bar Council. He is presently working as a legal officer in the head office of a government-owned financial institution of Bangladesh, Rupali Bank Limited. Previously, he has served as a lecturer of law in two private universities and as an adjunct faculty in a public university of Bangladesh. Now, I would like to again request all the guest speakers and the attendees to kindly switch on your respective webcams during the conference. and I would like to invite Dr. G.S. Bajpai to commence his speech. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you so much, Mr. Sharvan Kumar, for your generous introduction. And I'm actually delighted to be in this conference zero point 0.9 focused on emerging role of skill development and training programs in improving work efficiency. I also take this opportunity to greet all my fellow panelists who are present today, this evening, and I have decided to speak on briefly on 10 minutes on role of skill development, especially and training, from the viewpoint of enhancing the work efficiency. So my thoughts are divided into three parts. In the first part, I'll give a general introduction and then some special remarks. So as we are living in a dynamic, globalized environment, the ever-changing technologies call for upskilling on continuous basis. So there is an emerging need for employees and employers to align with these changes by enhancing their knowledge, abilities, and skill. So one of the best ways to improve the knowledge and skill is through skill development and training program. Therefore, this theme is very important. And I also say that these programs play a very significant role in improving the quality of human capital, which is indispensable for economic development. And these programs also offer learning opportunities to the employers and employees to enhance their productivity levels. World Bank has said that a comprehensive set of skills are now required to meet the changing nature of work, which includes cognitive skill, socio emotional skills, technical skills, and digital skills. These are the very core skills that one is required to possess. The cognitive skills, for instance, help in developing the ability to understand complex ideas, critical thinking, and problem solving ideas. While socio-emotional skills include skills related to leadership, teamwork, self-control, and grit. And taking together these skills are required very much. For instance, technical skills are about the knowledge and expertise required to perform a specific task. And similarly, digital skills, where the skills relating to the usage of digital devices and networks to access and manage information appropriately. The learning and development, especially, are integral factors in employee engagement. So the work performance of employees is strengthened through the approaches such as leadership mentoring program, in-house or online training sessions, etc. Such approaches impart new skills and knowledge which helps them in remaining up to date on different aspects such as quality standards, safety mechanisms, work ethics, even human relationship, etc. I also feel that it helps the employees in realizing the objective of efficient utilization of resources of the organization. So, for example, equipment damage and accidents can be minimized with the help of training programs. These training and skill enhancing programs help in building the strengths of the workers and also in addressing their weakness, which are identified through their performance reviews. So, when the performance appraisal of an employee recommends the need for improvement in particular skill or subject, training programs must be conducted. That is the idea. So these programs instill confidence and develop soft skill amongst the employee and that foster their productivity. So it prepares the employee for taking more and more responsibility in any organization. I also feel that an improvement, especially in the productivity of employment, can be one of the indicators of measuring the effectiveness of skill development and training programs. So productivity is the core value. To evaluate the effectiveness of these programs, several measures can be undertaken, such as evaluation of work outcomes, conducting pre and post training assessments, conducting polls and tests, etc. So, enhancement in the employee's productivity is positively correlated with the profits and efficiency of an organization. Therefore, implementing the training and skill development program help the employees in fostering a feeling that the organization is investing in them, which actually improves their morale and motivation in the act. So this further develops, conducive workplace environment wherein the employees feel valued. So I feel that enhancing productivity is not an end in itself, but a means to improve the living standards of the workers and achieve higher economic development. And similarly, this improvement in productivity is a prerequisite for ensuring better competitiveness and economic growth. And the gains resulting from productivity should be shared between enterprises and employees. So employees can benefit from skill development programs if they get higher wages, conducive work environment, and protected labor rights, including better employment prospects. So, on the other hand, the enterprises will benefit if they reinvest their profits in research and development activities. So, for instance, indulge in diversification and undertake measures to improve their competitiveness. And in the end, society will also receive benefit from this productivity level because it contributes to the reduction of poverty, increasing of employment rates, and inclusive growth, better quality of goods and services. So, at the macro level, uh, skill development is crucial for poverty reduction and inclusive growth as it improves employability and productivity levels. So low levels of skill perpetuates poverty and inequality. So skill formation is one of the factors that accounts for productivity growth, and it needs to be an integral part of development policies, which I am saying and other emphasizing. So the policies should be identified the level of development and needs and requirements of different societies in the economy. So further, skill policies should be drafted in such a way that improves quality and access of training for different sectors. So skill policy is the key. The evidence from developed nations suggests that the investment in human capital formation helps economy elevate to higher economic developments. So, like in the context of India, we have the strength of demographic, dividend. That is the share of working age population in the total population is very high in India. So, therefore, in order to reap the benefits of demographic dividend, the skill development and training programs are essential. The workplace training and skill development play a very important role in raising the productivity levels. Lack of, for instance, access to education, vocational training keeps the poor section of society into a vicious circle of poverty with low skills of employment being the supplementary contributing factors. So government can definitely facilitate different segment of the population, especially the marginalized section of the society to benefit from the economic growth through skill development. Another challenge to my mind that the Indian economy is currently facing is about meeting the skilled manpower requirement of the growing and developed, formal and informal sectors. And I feel that this skill development uh, then required the self-employed as well as casually employed, both kinds. And this should be integrated in the development policy at the national, state, and regional level, such as infrastructural development, employment generation, poverty reduction agenda. So I feel skill development of self-employed is also significant for promoting entrepreneurship because the success of these major schemes like Make in India, Startup India, Stand Up India, Digital India, it depends on the success of a Skill India mission because skill is the key. So in order to improve the qualitative aspects of human capital, there is a need to improve the access to education and quality training to improve this opportunity. There is need to definitely decentralize the implementation of skill development initiatives at the state, district, and block level. So I feel that at the policy level, the government must incentivize even the private sector to set up training institution to facilitate, the availability of training manpower for large and MSME units,
Hello.
because that would ultimately contribute to the larger goals of development. So further, the industrial sector can also facilitate the provisions of equipments, training of workers, and setting of incubation center. So taking together the a focus, a very carefully chalked out policy at the level of the state in terms of developing this skill, enhancing this skill, incentivizing this skill will go in a very long way in bringing a lot of balanced development in the country, because India as a country is also facing disparities in development because certain sections are left out. They are not able to cope up with the pace of the things in their immediate surrounding. So that is the key, and I think much more uh, concerted efforts in this direction are needed. I'm sure the initiative of SK Associates in holding this conference and discussing this particular theme will go in a very long way in satisfying some of these concerns. And today you have heard me and provided me this opportunity. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Thank you, one and all.
That was a really amazing speech, Mr. Bajpai. So, if anyone has any queries, you may ask our honorable guest, Mr. Naresh Vas, Abhishek Tiwari, Gopal Thakkar, Sudhanshu Pandey, Ramon. Any queries?
No, nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
No, sir.
No queries.
Thank you.
Manshi Janvi, Abhipchat Party. No queries out here. Uh, I guess your speech was really clear.
Thank
Mr.
you so
Bajpai.
much. I would be leaving after some time. Please allow me because I have another meeting.
That's okay. That's okay too. So if any one of you has any queries, you may address it now. Dr. Bajpai would be leaving us due to his engagements.
Sir, I have one. Please
Yeah.
share your LinkedIn or email ID.
Yeah, Mr. Ramon. Okay. Fine.
Okay, right.
That's- I would like to thank Dr. Bajpai for his amazing speech. And now I would like to call upon Dr. Ayat Natikim from University of Uyo, Nigeria, to commence his speech. Dr. Natikim, you are not audible. If you could just unmute your webcam. Yeah, that's perfect.
Hello. I think the voice is not.
Dr. Natikim, your voice isn't audible. You're not audible completely. If you could just check this once.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now
Can
you're
you hear me
perfectly
now?
audible. Yeah.
Now, yes, it is
Okay.
audible.
So, am I still? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I want to speak on subjective and objective skills and their roles in technical or training acquisition and productivity in employment sector. It's a delight to be here, really. It's afternoon in Nigeria, so good afternoon, everybody. Well, objective skills really are those skills that are generic, those skills that are based on generic acquisitions of knowledge. You know, those skills that are generally applicable. Why subjective skills for me are those skills that are tailored to particular places of employment. Because in objective skills, it behoves the worker or the person who is an employee to get objective skills that will enable him get access into places of employment in the first place. But for subjective skills that are seen in training programs, which are organized by different organizations, those training programs and training skill acquisition programs are tailored to the particular needs of the particular place of employment. I'll give an example of maybe a faculty of law. The skills that are required there would not be the same skills that are required in an engineering firm, for instance. So those skills that the employer would train his employees to acquire are skills that are tailored, in the case of the university faculty, towards the teaching of law. And in the case of the engineering firm, towards the requirements for engineering or electrical construction or such other things. When we look at skill acquisition, we know that skill is a process of allowing people gain expertise in different fields. And when we look at training is a process by which maybe employers give their employees a particular platform where they would tailor the needs of the organization to suit the employee requirements. Therefore, when you talk about objective skills, which could include knowledge in ICT, gaining skills, quantitative skills, gaining oral and written communication skills, those skills are the responsibility of a potential worker to acquire. It is not the responsibility of an employer to vest the employee with those skills. It's even a given that in places of employment, those skills are requirements, entry requirements, because in interviews, employees will be asked whether or not they have these skills. For instance, ICT skills, CorelDRAW skills, and the like, Excel sheets. Can you work with Excel spreadsheets? Those are skills that are objective in nature. They are not typically tailored to any particular organization. How then does it concern the employee? The employee has a duty first for himself in order to enhance his employability. The employee has a duty to acquire those skills first for himself to enhance his general employability. The employer, on the other hand, has a duty to give the employee skills or to ensure that the employee has skills that will make him as productive as possible in his place of employment. I heard a speaker yesterday talking about having skills, having the capacity to learn, the willingness to learn, a willingness to learn as opposed to having the actual skills. Yes, I agree with that to some extent, because when there is a willingness to learn, subjective skills can be learned. However, when there is an innate capacity which is generated by the employee or a prospective employee based on the skills he has acquired himself, there is no need for him to be necessarily teachable as regards the objective skills, because it is deemed that he already has the objective skills. How then can we tailor our skill acquisition to get to the point that it makes us as people who seek to be in places of employment employable? The issue we have as teachers in tertiary education, is that there's a segmentation of education. I, for one, believe that education never ends, whether it is in the context of a classroom or it is in the context of, semi-formal or informal settings. Education never ends. However, people appear to feel that education begins and ends in school. No. Students have in Nigeria, where I come from, our students have the disadvantage of being tagged unemployable, because when they go and learn, when they come to university, what we teach them is doctrinal learning. We teach them, for instance, in law, we teach them the doctrine, we teach them the legal theories, and we try as much as possible to make them apply these legal theories to the current realities on ground in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. The disadvantage there is that they try to apply these theories in abstraction, which is absolutely what education should not do, because education is supposed to equip a person to be skilled in life. Education is supposed to give people who acquire education life skills. So we attempt to clarify this by making sure our educational system and educational modules are more or less clinical in nature. What do I mean? We try to push students into practical situations that will help them apply the law they have learned. That is why we send them for internships, we send them for externships, and what have you. However, it is not enough to send them for such as externships, because they cannot do law in isolation. They have to do law in relation with life and in relation with the things that apply to life, which is where skill acquisition comes in. In order to make people employable, skills have to be learned. And when these skills are learned, they are learned in relation to a particular place of employment, which should not be so. Generic skills should be acquired by everybody, because these generic skills, upon acquisition, they enhance the employability and the income value of any person. Whenever someone enters into a place of employment, it behoves that place of employment to train the person, which is where training programs come in, to train the person to fit into the particular areas of employment. When this person is trained to fit into the particular areas of employment, these particular areas of employment are to be used to the advantage of the employer or to the advantage of the organization. When the employee leaves that place of employment, the subjective skills he has learned in relation to his particular place of employment now become perhaps obsolete in another place of employment, which has a very different area and paradigm of operation. That is why it is better for workers or prospective employees to learn generic skills that will make them fit into different areas of employment, which is why educational policy should be directed at equipping young people with skills that will make them relevant in every sector, with skills that are responsive to society, and with skills that do not stagnate them when they leave particular places of employment. In this regard, we can see that when it comes to skill acquisition and skill development, those are core areas of continuing education. Because even in our traditional educational rules, we tend to hone our skills in regards to what we studied. When our traditional role, sorry, when our traditional roles have been eclipsed by emerging trends in the society, we find ourselves redundant when it comes to acquiring more skills in order to fit into the emerging trends. Therefore, I see education and skill acquisition in relation with training programs as an enhancer of efficiency, first for the employer, or for the employee rather, and then for the employer, and then for the general good of society. Because when people have developed their skills, they do not need to stagnate in one position. They do not need to try to bend themselves out of shape in order to fit into particular requirements of particular organizations, because these skills are inherent, and policies should be tailored towards making sure that inherent skills of people are developed in accordance with their natural capacity and not in accordance with what traditional educational doctrines say. So I hope that my contribution, so to speak, is in tune with what continuing education in respect to skill acquisition and development should be, and how it enhances productivity in the society. Thank you.
I would like to thank Dr. Ayak Natikim for his amazing and beautiful speech. She made us see a new perspective on the topic today. Actually, none of the speakers has spoken on this particular model, and with her case study of the Nigerian education system, it was a really fabulous thing. Thank you. Now, any of you, if you have any queries for Dr. Nantigam, you may ask, please. Manshi, Izrat, Janvi, Abhishek Tiwari, Ranshu Pandey. Any queries for Dr. Nantigam? Krupal, Jaiveer, Puneet, Anupriya. No queries at all? Okay. Riddhi, do you have any questions for Dr. Natika?
Yeah, I have one question. Actually, is it necessary to go through internships as a part of your skill development? So, is it necessary to always go through internship, or you can either opt for training programs?
Well, in our own discipline, in the Nigerian the model of our legal education in Nigeria, students are required to go for internships. Sometimes they wait until post graduation as one of their graduation requirements to become barristers and solicitors, but they are required to go on internships to the courts and to chambers that practice law in order to get the practical experience of what they learn in theory in the university. So for us, it's a requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Dr.
You're
Natikam,
welcome.
I had a question for you. If students were given the option of going for internships and, on the other hand, going for skill development programs, which one would they prefer?
Well, for me, I think they would prefer to go for skill development programs because some of them who study this law do not intend to practice the law as in traditional practice of law. So what they do is that during their vacation periods, they go for personal skill development programs, which is not attached to the faculty modules. And that helps them to make them better rounded individuals in terms of employability.
And since you have got a doctorate into law, I had just one more question. During PhD, basically, researchers are needed to research, survey, and use many statistical methods to come to a conclusion. Does that research also help in skill development at some point of time?
Yes, that is, research in itself is a skill. Research is a skill. And research, quantitative analysis, which goes to statistical gathering of statistical data, and research, they are skills in themselves. These skills are, I wouldn't say they are transferred, but they are skills that students learn by doing. For instance, there's a course we teach for our graduate students that is called research methodology, which is where we teach them the different types of research and how to go about it and give them practical examples and practical situations, idealized situations, if you will, of how to do that. But those are skills in themselves that help the employability of students post graduation.
Thank you for being patient with us and giving such a fabulous speech, Dr. Nathikan. A really amazing session from you.
So basically, ma'am, good evening, ma'am. So basically, the inclination to should be towards both the things. That means it should be towards internship as well as towards the course. The additional courses that we are opting for. Because in my university also we are required to do that. With our studies we are required to do the internships and some of the training programs. Outside some we have to do. It's a criteria.
If I understand your question, you are asking whether the internships are necessary and as part of the programs. If that is your question, yes, they are. Yes, they are. But internship should not cancel out development and acquisition of other skills. Because in the process of internship, it is assumed that the interns are learning the techniques and the modules of the particular organization. For our case, how to practice law, or how to study law, or how to teach law, so students learn that, and how to contribute to society via research. However, those skills will not be maximized if other skills are not added to them. So students are expected to be well-rounded. It's unfortunate to say that it's not the concern of a traditional university, the additional skills that are learned outside the teaching modules of the university. But unfortunately, those skills are demanded in order to make the students well-rounded and employable. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I would like to thank Dr. Natikim for his amazing speech. And now I would like to invite my co-host, Riddhi Bhanushali, to take over the conference. Thank you.
Hello everyone, greetings. This is Advocate Riddhi Bhanushali from the Mumbai High Court, and I'm the Shravan's co-host for the day. So further, I would be taking over. Shravan, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. So now I would like to thank Dr. Iak Netkim for her fabulous speech. And I would like to invite Dr. Abdul Awal Khan for his intellectual and informative speech.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you very much. So, first of all, greetings from Bangladesh, and I would like to give thanks for the organizer for conducting these sessions, very important session for professional development, and also inviting me as one of the discussant. So, I would like to give thanks to Honorable Vice Chancellor. Probably he's not here at the moment. DG Basfai, moderator, co-moderator, and distinguished discussant, all the participants from various corners of the globe for attending this session. Okay, so let me begin with, I'll try to discuss this topic a bit non-technical way, because considering this virtual platform, it is very difficult to pay attention to any speaker while at the time of any technical discussion. And you know that the topic we choose here is already, that means to pay attention to detail is on kind of skills that we actually last more than 2 years. We used to have this kind of virtual platform. So if we cannot adapt with this virtual or technical or IT related instrument for teaching and learning process, then yeah, it is not possible to adapt with the current situation. So skill development and training, this matter actually goes line with the current context. Okay, so the title of the topic, if you have a look, this is emerging role of skill development and training program, and the purpose is improving our work efficiency. Okay, so main purpose is skill development through training and work efficiency. So kind of we need to achieve through training or similar kind of programs that we actually need to increase or to boost our efficiency. If I ask a questions to everyone, that when you joined your first job, how was your experience there? That might be mixed. That means both exciting and also terrifying, isn't it? Exciting that you are going to join a new job. At the same time, what should I do? I know many things, but what they will give me as an assignment, whether I will be able to do this job properly or not, that might be a big challenges for a candidate or for a new job candidate. Okay, so in that case, skill training program is essential. Then we ask questions. Then why we do need training program? If we have our university degree, we have PhD, or we have any professional degree, so many degrees in my hand, then why need further training program? So it is kind of thing that your degree or your certificate might not give you um, answer to all practical solutions. Then the question becomes why? Because I learned for 4 years, 5 years, 3 years. So why my skills, why my knowledge will not be able to give all the answers in my workplace? The reason is that there is a tension or there is a difference between theory and practice. Okay, that means theoretical issues we learn for 3 or 4 years in our academic career, academic life. We may not, if practical issues are not involved there, then there might be a problems of the candidate that how they will be able to solve all the practical issues. And if we, so far I understand that education system, especially in the South Asian countries, is something like that. We usually focus on substantial matters rather than procedural. As I'm a law professions or law teacher or professor, I understand that whatever we teach our student, when we teach theoretical issues, then at the same time we need to get them some ideas that how this theory might be applicable in practice. And you understand that sometimes university teachers they cannot go to the court for practice, so it's not possible for them. And many things when we teach, we need to seek assistance from the lawyers or the practicing professionals that they might have, or they have more knowledge or more experience in the courtroom areas. So that's why theory and practice, it should be there should be a bridge between this in learning process. And how do we make this relationship? That is the training program. Okay, so when I remember that when I got my job as a lecturer in the university, and suddenly I got a phone call and say that, hey, you have a good news, you are requesting to join on that particular day as a lecturer of university. And at the time I was in legal professions. And then within a short moment I prepared myself and I was started thinking myself as a teacher. And that means I switched myself from advocate to lecturer. And without any training, without any orientation or something, I joined, and straight away head of the department welcomed me as a lecturer of the department in front of so many students. Can you imagine what kind of situation or nervousness I felt at that time? So then I realized when I got invitation from that I just memorized all these things, that yes, if before joining in the profession straight away, if there are kind of training programs are launched or maybe offered, then it might improve the work efficiency. Okay, so this is the challenge. This kind of challenge, I believe that we usually feel in every professions, and that's why we need particular or specific and also focused training based on the nature of their professions. Okay, then we can also think that how much skill could be developed through training. It is like a very, very broad questions, because if I ask Sachin Tendulkar that, okay, it is enough with cricket, you have become god of cricket, but now start playing football. Okay, so you have best what should I say, the coach, and start playing. So whether he will be able to be a Maradona, certainly not. Some skills are inherent. Some skills are kind of thing that it should be developed inherently. Your coach or your trainer might might build or increase your efficiency, but inherent quality it might be uh, hidden in your commitment or in your personal ability or quality. Then you can say that, so we don't need training. No, the answer is still
Mr. Khan, I have
because
one question. Actually,
yes.
you were speaking about inherent talents and uh, what the person has. So, what about the thing if a person has more than one inherent talents? Like there are people who are not into only one thing; they are into maximum of the things together. Like what I can call a multitasker. So, what can we say about that multitasker? So, uh, the is multitasking an inherent thing, or he or she has learned all these things? And if he or she has learned, why the others cannot learn all these things?
Well, that is the uh, that means the partly I was discussing the one part of this inherent quality. My second part, I was actually intending to say that only inherent quality it might if you still the person has an excellent inherent quality, that person also need training. As I put example that Sachin Tendulkar, certainly he had a coach. Maradona, he had a coach. So it professional training or inherent quality, it actually accelerate the quality more. Uh, uh, that means in speed up your inherent quality. So it doesn't mean that you don't need training, because nobody in the world without any advice or without any teacher or without any training cannot become an excellent person. Okay, so everybody have their guru or their
Mr.
teacher.
Khan, so can we tell Google as our teacher or
Sorry,
YouTube as our teacher? Can we
who?
tell Google or YouTube as our teacher? Because
Oh,
maximum of the times,
that
right
is
now, people are learning through Google and YouTube a lot of things.
yes, the person working behind the Google or YouTube, you are the creator. Okay, the concept who created the Google or YouTube, you can imagine that he's this kind of intelligence, it did not come in a minute. That means they have that person who receives kind of orientation from his previous person, where one day he was thinking that I can do something interesting, I can catch up, or I can give answer to the person, and this way. And you know that Google, the resources at the moment Google is giving to answer, when it was launched, the efficiency was not actually the same that we have at the moment, isn't it? So the capacity of Google is now more bigger than previous time. That means people are start thinking this search engine or this kind of intelligence platform when they are offering, then they are thinking then how to improve this. And many virtual platform or many people, they are following their successor, okay, or precedents. So it is kind of things that you need to you must have some kind of light before you, so that you can follow, or way you can work with your previous trainer, but you can work more faster than your trainer. So it depends on your ability. So that's why this inherent quality, as I mentioned, that inherent quality could be accelerated through training, through motivation, through your by developing your emotional uh, intelligence or your intellectual capacity. If I say that, for example, if I say that you are dumb, you are dumb, you are dumb every day, a person will be whatever is intelligent or not, someday he will start thinking that maybe I am dumb. Okay, but that person is intelligent. So motivation, training, it is certainly necessary, although you are excellent by nature. Okay, so um, then the questions, as the previous speaker, I noticed that she also mentioned that what kind of training is suitable for me. As a lawyer, the training usually I prefer, it might not be applicable to business professionals or a teacher or someone. So that's why to prefer particular training is one kind of challenge. So if we don't offer essential training to that person, then that kind of training might not be useful. Okay, so choosing or selecting useful training is important based on your gap, and also what kind of learning materials you want to, or skills you want to use in your profession. It depends on this kind of on the basis of this selection you can choose your training. Then who would be your trainer? That might be a question. Okay, so you need to, and in your job profession, usually we uh, uh, consider, we prefer ourselves, or think we prefer to think ourselves as a boss rather than leader. Okay, so if I see that yes, everybody is very much frightened with my personality, he said that he's very tough boss, someday I will also become something like that. But nowadays, the globally, we don't uh, prefer boss, rather we prefer a leader, a friend, a workplace colleague. Okay, so might be his position is higher than me, but I want that my colleague or my boss or my he should, his behavior or his kind of interaction with me should be more more friendly, or so that I can work, my working skills should be developed. So uh, through work efficiency or training, what kind of benefit we might receive? First, as I put my real life example, that I was a bit nervous at the time of my first job. So I believe that this kind of training will adapt a person to a new and diverse place or diverse environment. Okay, so training is necessary, that how to cope with your colleague, how to interact with your superior or inferior. So that kind of training should be essential. And sometimes that whenever you show your performance, because of the environment, you cannot give your full place performance due to some lackings, or due to some your nervousness might be. So that's why you need a particular training or particular motivation, so that you can give your full effort. Okay, so and I already crossed the time, or I'm within the time frame. Okay, so I believe that still I have few minutes, right?
Yeah, Mr. Khan, you can.
Okay, yeah. So then your your soft skill, that means kind of skills, if you want to use in your workplace, then training from the professional body, it actually helpful. Okay, even to improve your soft skill, your family matters. Okay, because the basic soft skills, it might be built up from your family, your friend, your nearest environment. So if you want to apply your this kind of skill to your professional life, then you need to be very technical, that how do I use this kind of soft skills in my professional life as well. Okay, and the previous speaker already mentioned that your productivity, employee productivity, is a crucial thing for employment in workplace training. Okay, so if we do not provide particular professional training, then it might the employees in the workplace, they will lose interest in their workplace. So that's why for boosting employee productivity, particular training is essential. And that, as I mentioned at the beginning of my talk, that we need to update, we need to keep ourselves updated with the present development, uh, both uh, in technical and also theoretical, practical, all these things. So we need to be up to date, informative. So that's why if you don't have any organized, systematic training by professional or expert people, then we might not be able to fit with the present changes. Okay, and also respecting personal values. I mean that if you want to, for example, you joined somewhere and you found that your colleague, whatever is talking or behaving, it's not, you don't actually like this kind of attitude or thing. Then what kind of manner you should use to that person, then yeah, it is actually you need particular orientations. Okay, it maybe her or his behavior is weird, but there might have some reasons. Okay, so you need to understand personal values, ethical, moral, and other issues, so that you can fit or you can make a congenial environment in your workplace, right? So that's why uh, skill development training, I think that it is particularly essential for the disseminating of knowledge and skills through training. Okay, and this kind of training is not only for only the professional body, but it is kind of lifelong training. That means the training you receive from an organizations or thing, it might be applicable to your personal life as well. A good manager must be a good husband as well, or a good father as well, isn't it? So your personal life and professional life should be there be a combination. So you might be able to apply your um, own judgment, uh, whether it is fit to your workplace or not. So that's why your professional training, it is helpful both your personal life and your professional life. And once you are training, you are not once you are trainee, you are not training
Mr.
forever.
Khan, the way you told that professional behavior also affects your personal lives, is that vice versa, that personal behavior or the personal things comes into profession some
Yeah,
or the
yeah,
other day?
certainly, certainly. Because when I am upset and tired, usually I don't check answer script of my students, because whenever sometimes maybe I have fighting with my wife or something, there will be many issues that my emotional matters are actually I don't usually I apply that that I
Sir, but don't you think it's like it's unfair, like your emotional well-being and your personal things gets affected, makes your career and your professional life, it disturbs your career and your professional life. So
yes.
don't you think it would be unfair towards the people whom you are dealing in your professional life?
Yes, if you, this kind of having this kind of emotional changes, usually it is advised that in profession that when someone says that he is upset, he is frustrated, then the senior or the boss, they say that okay, take leave, go home, take rest. So you don't need to work now, because with this kind of mental conditions, you cannot give your full effort. So that's why we need a break. So personal emotional issues, because we are human being, we are not engine robots. So that's why emotion and your skills, your personal matters, it actually affects your professional life. So that's why we need training, that when you are fit, when you are fine, then join your professions. Otherwise you cannot provide full service. Okay, the service people will receive service, they'll be frustrated because you are angry, you are upset, you are kind of mentally sick, so you need rest. So that's why there must be a combination, that when you are going to join your professions, that's why you need your mental condition should be actually stable. Okay, so um, once you are a trainee, that's my final remarks, that once you are trainee, you are not training forever. Someday you might be a trainer. So it's a like a continuous process, that we learn not only whenever we talk actually, because from your questions I learned, and from my answers you also learned, and from the introduction of the people we also learned together. So that's why uh, training program, it is not, it's kind of not formal educations or formal learning process. It is kind of informal and formal combinations. Okay, and in this way, people learn more better than any formal education. That's why whatever degree we achieve, it might not be complete unless and until you receive professional training from expert people. So I believe that skill development and professional efficiency is connected to each other through training. Okay. So thank you, everyone, for your kind patience. And if you have any further questions, I'll try to give answers. Thank you.
So if anyone has any questions, you can surely ask Mr. Khan.
Yes, sir. I have a question. Yes. If I want to be a lecturer or professor in any university, then how can I get a professional training?
Well, thank you, Rafi, for your questions. Actually, if you, from the very beginning of your uh, aim, if you start thinking that someday I will become a university professor, if it is your aim, then you will receive kind of training from the nature, from when you see that someone is speaking, then you will be you will try to follow that. This teacher, he teaches very nice, so I'll follow this kind of technique from my teacher. So through your student life, you will receive kind of training as a teacher. At the same time, uh, in Bangladesh context, I understand that for the university teacher, there is no formal training institute or something. Actually, there are some on and off training procedure for the public and private universities are organized by different organizations. They teach people when they are already in teacher, not like that you are you want to be a teacher, so go there, join, and someday you will become a teacher. Unfortunately, this kind of training institute or procedures we don't have, but we should have, because some people they might have dream in their mind that someday I will become this, I'll prefer these professions. Okay, so there is a competitive selection procedure. If you pass this procedure, then when you are offered a job as a teacher, then you will be offered different trainings how to develop your skills. But unfortunately, without any confirmation of any job, there is no formal training, particular training. But you have option. You can choose any particular training. If you see in available around, then you can join and engage, because it is, even you are not able to become a university professor, but still it will not be uh, useless. It might help in your future profession. So that's why my answer is, in brief, if I summarize that, first thing is you have to train yourself. That means you need to understand, you need to get information from around, that how the people interact in a particular profession. Then you can develop yourself through learning. Okay, and you can take an excellent example whenever, whatever you think it as an excellent. Okay, so you are the, as a trainee, you can choose your trainer by yourself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
That was really amazing.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anybody?
Yes,
Vishta?
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam.
I want to say something.
Yes, Nishat.
Sir, you said that there is no formal program for university student. Then if I want to initiate this program, if I want to initiate a formal program for training, is it possible for me? after years, not now. I am a student in fourth year. Recently, I will complete my graduation, but I want to know about from you about
Yeah,
this.
certainly. Why not? Then you will be an entrepreneur. You will organize people. You will arrange something, or you will build. You can create a training institute if you have a kind of skill, and you can invite people, or you can organize a training program for professional development. So if you have this kind of resources, because you know that if you want to organize this kind of training, then you might need some kind of approval from different bodies. And despite these permission matters, you might need kind of selection, that what kind of training you want to offer, and what kind of uh, people you want to pick, or who will be the learner. So there are few challenges. So if you organize your thought, and if you can make plans, certainly why not? You can someday you can build a training institute or training organizations.
Thank you, sir. Inshallah, I will try. Thank you,
Good luck.
everyone.
So I would
Sir,
like
I
to
have a
thank
query.
now those who have any questions can ask sir. Sir, can you leave your email ID or your LinkedIn profile so that the people who have any queries can contact you? Because as
Yes,
we
sure.
are running short of time,
In
they
the
are
chat
able
box.
to contact you. Yeah, in the chat box.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. I would like to thank Mr. Dr. Abdul Awal Khan for his intellectual and amazing speech. And further, I would like to invite Mr. Mahbubur Rahman for his amazing speech. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Dear moderator, co-moderator, respected discussions, I'd like to greet you with good evening from Bangladesh. Actually, I want to thank SK Associates and Group for arranging such a conference on emerging role of skill development and training programs in improving work efficiency. And really, I'm feeling very happy to be there. And certainly, I believe that I am the person who has the mostly less capacity to discuss on this issue, because before me, our Vice Chancellor sir and other discussions were very much prudent in this sector, and they have glorious career in this section. By the way, from my own experience in my academic career and from my professional career, and I have had the opportunity to participate the training held by the IQAC, Institutional Quality Assurance Cell. This is funded by the World Bank, and this has been carried on in the public and private universities of Bangladesh by the UGC, University Grant Commission. And secondly, I have had the opportunity to participate in a month-long foundation training. And from my own experience of teaching, I would like to discuss on these two important issues. One is skill development, and another is importance of training. Presently, we see in this 21st century, during this global mega trends such as rising role of technology, climate change, graphic shifts, demographic shifts, urbanization, globalization, or the value chains. This is a challenging time actually. And in this era of challenges, versatile challenges, it is very difficult to cope up with all sorts of circumstances. And particularly if we want to survive in this planet, then there is no other shortcut way other than availing the skills, which is necessary from the everyone's own perspective. It's not necessary that everyone will be very much prudent in using online, or it is not required that everyone will be very much prudent in playing cricket. So everyone has his own sector, own field, and he must be prudent, must be skilled in this era. Actually, there is a maxim that when we read, we forget. When we hear, we forget. But when we do, we learn. That means doing something, creating something, dealing with something makes a man prudent and skilled. This is the primary condition to become a skilled person in a particular area. Anyhow, particularly for the law students, they need some skills which are indispensable. Firstly, I would like to mention above them is cognitive skills. Why? Our life is not a mathematical issue. And we know in mathematics, everyone will admit that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. But in law or in practice or in our social perspective, social life or day-to-day life, there is no shortcut. And we'll have to face versatile problems. So there may be the solution, that is to say 2 plus 2 is equal to 3, or 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, even 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. So you have to manage these problems. We have to face these problems. To face these problems, we need to be very much prudent, competent to understand the complex ideas. Secondly, we have to have the capacity to adapt effectively to the present environment or my own problems. And one has to understand from his experience then what should be his next step for moving the upcoming problems. So this is one, you may say this is called the capacity to read the scenario, to read the problems. So this is not pre-designed. It may be complicated. It may be mostly complicated, but you have to move. Without moving, you have no other way. As a lawyer, every case is an issue of research, every case. Or as a law student, every case is an issue of research. So you have to research, you have to manage, and you have to find out what should be your next step to get the proper remedy. Secondly, one has to acquire the socio-emotional skills. That is to say, how will you tackle the negativity in your society, in the interpersonal relationships, in the society. So whether you are becoming very much demotivated by a negative speech about you, if so, then you are in trouble. So what should be done? The matter is how you are handling, how prudently you are handling these problems. People will biting against you. They will talking behind you, and they will do something which is very much subversive to the interest of yourself. But you have to overlook this negativity, and along with you have to work with all force so that you can be succeed in your own way. So negativity should be disallowed in life. This is another soft skill that must be acquired. And thirdly, technical skill from everyone's own perspective. So technical skills such as a driver, his skills is different from a software engineer. So this is different issue. Everyone has his own way. Now the question is, what's the benefit of developing skills? Basically, it will help in contributing to the structural transformation and economic growth. So if you are prudent, if you are skilled, no need to be afraid of what will be the situation. How will you continue your livelihood? So economically you will be rich. You are rich means your country is rich. Your country is rich means your society is rich, both economically and socially. Now, someone may ask, what is the problem if I don't want to boost up my skills? Yes, there is a tough problem, because life is a race actually. Sometimes you may have to race with a scooter or motorbike. Sometimes you may have to race with private car or with a bus, even with a plane, even with a rocket, even with light. So every second of our life is invaluable property, invaluable. This is an asset, every second of our life. And if you want to cope up with the challenging and ever-changing dimensional circumstance of this present world, then there is no other way without developing our skills. This is a period of price hiking. I feel this is not problem that price is being hiked. Every aspect's price is being raised day by day. But problem is, I have been a failure person. I have failed in increasing my earnings. This is the problem. So day by day, your needs will be increased, your society will be groomed up. But how are you managing these problems? How are you increasing your earnings or incomes? How are you helping your family, your subservient persons? This is the question. So there is no shortcut. Skill, there is no shortcut way. There is no ending, and this is a never-ending process. Even particularly in law profession, if I say, I may quote from our ex-Chief Justice of Bangladesh, Justice Mustafa Kamal, who said that a lawyering or learning law is started from a college or university, and it goes to the graveyard. Every day is a time for learning. So every day one's skill should be groomed up with technically and with knowledge. Now I want to focus on the training issues. Firstly, I want to say about the negative side of training. From the all sorts of aspects of training, and with my experience, I have tried to find out to the negative side, and I got two things actually. Firstly, the institution who is willing to give the training or who is willing to train up their employees, they have to expend money for arranging training. This is the first. And secondly, there are some unethical or we may say ethically poor employee who are more eager to take part in training but very much uh, reluctant to work hard. This is the true problems. Sometimes company or a institution has to expend money for arranging training. Another is ethically poor employee wants to take part in training and they don't eager to work for the institution or company. Beside these two issues, all are the positive issue of training. And if I want to mention, then firstly, I may mention that training incapacitate the team speed and spirit. I repeat, speed and spirit. So ideologically, training helps people to do something for his own institution, and they get the same speed. So they are very much concerned. They becomes very much positive towards their institution, towards their responsibilities. Secondly, it improves in task management, and that is done either maybe individually or in team. And it relies on a greater understanding process, and it clarify the defined goals that what a person or group of person have to reach out. Thirdly, it indicates the required skills, what has to be acquired by a participant or trainer, a trainee or an employee. Fourthly, it encourages the continuous improvement, because continuous improvement is indispensable for every profession. I may give the example during the COVID period, Bangladesh, particularly in court system, the court has undergone to the virtual, and thousands of lawyers were there who are not prudent technically, and they couldn't participate in hearing virtually because they didn't know how to use Zoom. They didn't participate in the court. So that was their lacking. Not the matter that they don't know law. They know law. The problem is technical. So problem has come. You have to face it. Every day you have to increase your capacity. So continuous improvement and mind setup for improving continuously is must. Fifthly, it enhances the employee's engagement so that an employee may think that this is my institution, this is my position, and I want to have it boosted. We may say another thing, that is to say, there is a company culture or strong company culture, such as a company which is very much helpful to their employees. This is a company culture. Or an institution which is very much helpful for its employees. It gives proper medical supports for his family. It gives proper salary properly and adequately. This is a nature which is called company culture. There are some primary company cultures which are indispensable for a company or an institution. That is to say, there should be transparency. That means it will communicate about the organizational details so that everyone concerned with that institution know what to do, how to do, when to do. Then positivity. Everyone should be positive in mind, and they should be objective. Everyone should think of their objective interest, not subjective interest. Then measurement, that is to say, collecting or measuring or evaluating information from the employees of a particular institution so that they can evaluate, they can manage, and they can forego what to do. Then acknowledgement. That means
Mr.
yes.
Rehman, actually we are having a small time constraint, so we could just
okay. I'm trying so fast. Thank you. Then uniqueness, listening. All sorts of company culture can be acquired by way of training. Anyhow, if we ask when a company training can be more effective, so effectiveness is dependent on some issues. That is to say, if the training promotes the employee's benefit, or a training becomes a employee, it gives the employees benefits, this is a good training session, and it will attract on the top talent of the company or institutions or employees. Then it will increase the seasonal employees to return, who has retrenched or who has turned over from this institution. Thirdly, it will establish a workplace where employees praise others. And secondly, it will arrange the boosting employee morals. And thirdly, providing a path for improvement, everyone's improvement. And fourthly, it will help employees to feel recognized that yes, we are the part and parcel of this institution. Then we may say that that training is effective. Now, lastly, I will, in my session, only mentioning regarding our Bangladeshi practice in Bar Council. Yes, beforehand and in 10 years before, there was the process so that every enrolled advocate, newly enrolled advocate, can participate in training course, how to stand before the court, how to deal with the court, how to prepare a drafting or a brief. That was taken and arranged by the Bar Council, Bangladesh Bar Council. But this culture has been ended up, and now the culture is not in faith, actually. But it should be recompensated and reinstituted should be. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time and thank you for your patience.
I would like to thank Professor Mahmood Rahman for his amazing speech. Actually, it was quite informative on elaborating all the aspects of the topic, again from a different perspective. So if anyone has any queries for Mr. Mahmood Rahman.
Wow. I am very much pleased to hear the lecture made by our research person. I am very much grateful. And of course, the very proposition you made today, it's very much effective and efficacious and useful for all of the attendees, I feel. And this sort of training will sharpen our knowledge and knowledge skill and the gain of our knowledge. That's why I'm very much grateful, and I would like to be thank you all again. If you arrange this type of training session, though it is virtually, but we could find that is we all are going to meet on the same platform. And I, being an advocate of Bangladesh Supreme Court, and I have earlier participated in such sort of training sessions, in particular with the FBIs and other persons, those who are intelligence, and I feel it's very much effective. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure hosting and conducting such sessions, Mr. Hasan.
It's
Any
amazing,
other,
sir. Amazing.
any other queries? Mansi, Priya, Sutanshu, Ram Mohan, Nishta, Janvi? No queries out there? That's perfectly fine. I guess Mr. Mehman, your speech was completely clear out here. Thank you for
Thank
that.
you so much for your compliment.
Now I would like to request Ms. Vaishali Shri and team to kindly share the link for the certificates for all of our attendees. That's it. I would like to request all the attendees to kindly fill the form to get your certificate of attendance, and definitely to fill it positively before 8:45. That's the time when the link closes. Now I would like to thank all the guest speakers on the panels as well as all the attendees for coming to the conference and making this a wonderful event yet again. So we won't stop here. We shall come up again on the next month, June 15, 16 and 17, on another international conference on emerging role of social entrepreneurship in the era of PAN. I guess we have one or two speakers from the upcoming conference in today's event too. However, I would like to thank everyone again for coming here and making this a wonderful session. We'll come again next month. Until then, stay tuned and have a great time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.